Hey trappers, Dale Billingsley here, Billingsley Brand Lures. So I've been asked to do a little video about bedding traps and positioning of traps at a dirt hole and a flat set. So I'm going to kind of go over that a little bit with you all this evening. I'm going to show you how I bed a coil spring and a long spring both. I think sometimes guys overlook coil springs or long springs, I'm sorry, as a choice. And I think sometimes if guys knew a little more about them and a little more about how to bed them, they might stop and think about them just a little bit more. So let's position this camera and we'll get started here. Okay, so here we are at a trench style dirt hole. Now, the thing about positioning the trap, you can see that I've got the animal coming between the jaws versus going over the jaws to go into it. Now the reason being, if that coyote or fox comes in here and starts scratching at this and happens to miss the trap, he stands a bigger chance of hooking a toenail on a jaw versus coming this way, as he has a chance of hooking the pan. And I hope that makes sense to you. And not only that, but I honestly believe that this creates a deeper catch by coming between them like this. It's not because of the dog throwing the foot. Surely to gosh, I hope that nobody still believes that old wives' tale. There's no way that this dog can throw a coyote or a fox or a bobcat or a coon or anything else's foot. This is a dead space. You can push on that all day long, and that trap will never fire. That's a dead space. So, and all traps have them. Whether they're dogless or whether they're doggone, all traps have a dead spot. So anyway, that's the reason I position it like this at a dirt hole set. And the way I bed, I make sure I dig my bed. Walls of the bed are straight up and down. I dig them with a spade. I don't use a hammer. Not saying that that's wrong, just saying that it doesn't suit my style. I want those walls straight up and down. That trap, I haven't packed any dirt around it yet at all, and that trap is already pretty dadgum solid, other than a little tip wobble this way. But as far as the levers, that trap's pretty solid. So the way, after I make sure that it's like that, then I just start packing dirt around the trap. And I may have cut this a little bit big. I don't like to cut my beds any bigger than the trap itself if I can help it. I understand sometimes in frozen ground or in super dry ground like we're dealing with now, that dirt comes out in big clods and there's not a whole heck of a lot you can do about it. But anyway, I want to try to get it cut just so my trap fits down in there. And then pack the dirt around it really good and really solid. I was watching a video the other day, come to think of it, now that we're talking about it, and the guy said, and I quote, "You do not have to bed the trap solid. Whoever come up with that, it was total bullshit." Sorry for my language. What is that guy thinking? See, those are the guys, and I'm not trying to talk bad about anybody, and I don't want anybody to think I am, but those are the guys that are catching tens of animals a year. And the sad part of it is they're trying to train guys that catch fives of animals a year, and the guys that catch fives of animals a year believe the guys that are catching tens of animals a year. That trap has got to be solid. It has to be. In order for it to work right, that trap can have no wiggle, no wobble in it. Now you see, you can push down on that pretty hard, and that trap's not moving. That's how it's done. Now we'll go on into bedding a double long spring at this set. All right, guys. So now we've got our double long spring in there, and you can see that I've set it exactly the same way. The only difference I did is cut out this little bit of a notch for my long springs to set in. We're still turned so they're coming between the jaws, and we're from the edge of the dirt hole, we're back. There's 8. So we're all 15 inches back, pan center, 14, 15 inches. That's where I like to be, especially on bobcats. You'll find out that cats a lot of times will hang back in here and they won't go right up into the hole. So I like to be back in here when I'm trapping them. Now when it comes to bedding these long springs, you see that trap again is just pretty dang solid. I mean, for not having any dirt packed around it. But what you want to do is try to pack as much dirt as you can on the bottom inside of the springs. Once you bury and pack the bottom inside of those springs, and don't worry about it. I mean, as long as you know, in early season, of course, you're fine. Later in the season, if you've got wax dirt or coal shale or peat moss, whatever, underneath it, you know, so that it doesn't keeps it from freezing down. Early in the season, it's not that big of a deal. So pack inside the bottom of those springs. And then, of course, pack the tops of them as well, too, you know, so the trap doesn't rock and wiggle. But you can pack that trap in there, that double long spring, so much tighter than you can a coil. It's unbelievable what you can do. And I don't know, I'm kind of a softy for old things. There's something a little bit romantic, I guess, about seeing coyotes standing around, and bobcats too, as far as that goes, wearing double long springs. I love to see it. Anyway, again, pack that dirt tight in there around that trap so that there's absolutely no wiggle. And that's what there is to bedding at a dirt hole, and the reason why I turn the trap the way that I do. Okay guys, and here we are at a flat set. Now I've turned the trap, as you can see, I've turned it so that I've turned it the other way, so the dog, I'll clean that off a little so you can see good, I hope. The dog is facing the attractor, and the animal, I've got a hump of dirt here. I'll back that up and so y'all can see it a little better here in just a minute. So I've got a hump of dirt here to create the walkthrough. So again, the animal is coming between the jaws instead of over the jaws. The only way that you can make that side leg forearm catch on an animal when he comes in there, because a lot of times they're going to want to come into these flat sets and they want to roll on the attractor. And don't think that rolling is a bad thing. It is absolutely not. I want that coyote or that fox to wear my lure like it's cologne, or my bait, or whatever I have there. Rolling on a lure, rolling on a bait is not a bad response. He should be doing that. He should be frothing at the mouth and tromping around and slobbering and getting with the program. So the only way that I can make that catch on that side leg or elbow, if he drops in here to roll on it, on his neck and shoulder area, they don't get it up on their ears and their face, it's their neck and shoulder. When they come in there to drop that elbow to roll, the only way I can make that catch is have that trap so he comes between the jaws instead of over them. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Another thing I'd like to mention while you're right here and you're this far into the video, if you would please hit that thumbs up for me, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, guys. It all helps out my channel a lot, and I greatly appreciate it. Another thing I'd kind of like to touch on while we're on the subject of trap placement as well as attractions is the baiting and luring of the sets. When I lure and bait a dirt hole type set, My friend Zach Davis and I have talked about in Idaho. Him and I have talked about this immensely, and we've both kind of come to the same conclusion. We like to use at least 3 smells at a dirt hole. I'd like a prepared bait, I like a commercial lure, as well as a fresh bait. That way you attract and are attractive to all ages of canines. Whether they're this year's pups, whether they're adults, whether they're intermediates, you are attracting them. Because some of them pups have been whooped a lot and they're a little bit goosey of anything that's strange or new, so a prepared bait or a commercial lure might spook them, but they're such crappy hunters when they're in the dispersing period. They haven't learned everything that they need to know yet. So a good fresh bait, doesn't really matter what it is, anything fresh, that'll pick them up. Where if an adult comes through, he's a little bolder, or you've got a little bit bolder pup, you've got prepared bait, you've got a commercial lure there, plus a fresh bait. A lot of urine smells, kind of reminds everybody of the den. You can pick them coyotes up that way. As far as at a flat set, a good call type lure, even a food-based lure doesn't hurt anything. A good shot of urine, a turd out in front of the trap as a jaw guard, doesn't hurt a thing. And if you want to, if you're working with spooky coyotes early in the season, you think those pups might be a little bit spooky yet, use nothing but a shot of urine and a turd there, and some gland lure, and you'll be good. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I appreciate y'all taking time to watch it. This is Dale Billingsley with another one, signing out.